Good evening, cadets. This is Lance here from CinematicGalaxy to bring you all my review of the book Darth Plagueis, which is under Legends now, meaning that it's not canon or not under the canon label. However, reading this book, it occurred to me that many elements of this story could easily be canon, and I think Pablo Hidalgo, who keeps up with all of this, said at one point that canon or legend sometimes just means something isn't canon yet. So I feel like there's a lot they can pull from here to go into canon. To start off, I'm going to just read the description of the book from the back. So the description is, Darth Plagueis, like all Sith Lords before him, he craves absolute power, but like no Sith Lord ever, he possesses the ultimate power over life and death. Darth Sidious. In secret, he masters the power of the dark side, while publicly climbing to the highest government office. One desires to rule supreme, the other dreams of living forever. Together they will destroy the Jedi and rule the galaxy, unless Mirtha's Sith tradition becomes their undoing. And this book is written by James Luceno, who has written other Legends novels, but he also wrote Catalyst, which is a Rogue One prequel, which is fantastic, one of my favorite Star Wars books, and Tarkin, which I have not yet read but plan to read soon. From the little bit I've read from James Luceno, he's masterful, and that includes this book. So yeah, just to put it out there, well, to give you just a quick taste of what this is about first, yeah, basically the synopsis I read. Darth Plagueis, we see him, he's craving power, he's trying to figure out what he can do to make himself powerful forever, keep the Sith around, or bring the Sith back in full force. That's a very vague description, but yeah. And then, okay, I'll go into more details in a bit, but I will tell you right off the bat that I love this book. I really did. I thought it was just fantastic. I thought it maybe started off a little slow, but it was worth it. You know, when I saw where they were going, there was a certain point near the beginning where the book really took off for me. And even though it is a pretty methodical book, it moves at a very good pace, in my opinion, from that point onward. And yeah, it's fascinating. Darth Plagueis, for one, it's fascinating seeing a Sith Lord, reading about a Sith Lord that we haven't actually seen on film. Now, he was mentioned by Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith during that opera scene with Anakin, where Palpatine's talking to him about, Darth Plagueis, who could save people from dying. In my opinion, one of the best scenes in Star Wars lore. Whatever you think of the prequels, that scene is phenomenal and very well acted by Ian McDiarmid. But going back to this point, all of that stuff, without spoiling the book, I didn't say this already, but this review will not contain spoilers, so no need to fear. But you see, when you look at Ian McDiarmid's performance in Revenge of the Sith, because I want to say, yes, this book, the first half is primarily about Plagueis, but then as we shift to the second half of the book, a little bit before to about the second half of the book, you start to see that, no, this is Palpatine's book. This is Darth Sidious's book. And Plagueis is really a device in his own in his own title, because this is really about the rise of Darth Sidious, leading up to through episode 1, and it was incredible to read about because I was not expecting it to go there. I mean, I kind of did, but the way it did it was so masterfully done. So, as I said, Plagueis, he's written well. He's a very creepy villain, very powerful and very frightening villain in a lot of ways. Very frightening Sith Lord, and I'd love to see him on film, preferably as a Mune, because I think that there's so much you could do with that character. But to going back to my point I was just making, even though the book is called Darth Plagueis, the star of this book is Sidious. Sidious owns this story. And as you get further and further through the second half, you see that that's the case. I mean, there's stuff in here with Sidious that, in my humble opinion, if it were on film, it would surpass Vader's Rogue One scene. And I won't go any further than that for fear of spoilers. But you just get such great dialogue and such great character back and forth between Sidious and Plagueis, whose alter ego, by the way, is Higo Damask, whereas Palpatine is Sidious's alter ego once he becomes a Sith Lord, or you could say vice versa. But I think the true self is a Sith Lord. Yeah, but the story is interesting. It's very politically intriguing, but it's also, this is very much the Star Wars version of The Godfather, with Darth Sidious and Al Pacino's role, and you could say that Plagueis himself is Marlon Brando. So it's just very interesting, and it for me, there were many moments as we neared the end where I was just so impressed with what they did, and it opened my mind to certain aspects of the Star Wars lore that I previously might not have wanted to hear about. I'm not going to say what that is, but I thought that was very skillfully done. And just all in all, I mean, it's not much you can say about this book without going into detail. So what I will say is that the book is not for very young children or the most faint of heart people. It has some very, very gruesome images in it, as far as things that happen, things that certain characters do. It is not a book for small children at all, so don't try it. But yeah, I love this book. I highly recommend it. It's one of the best Star Wars books I've read, easily, and it's like a good solid follow-up to the Darth Bane trilogy, but it also leads directly into the prequel trilogy for Star Wars films. So I actually think that's pretty cool how they did that. I'm going to give Darth Plagueis a 10 out of 10. I think that it's an excellent book that all Star Wars fans should read. Doesn't matter if you're more canon or legends, just read the book and see what you think. See what you think, please. Let me know down below, guys, what you thought about this book if you have read it. And stay tuned for my next few reviews. And this is Lance from Cinematic Galaxy, signing off.